who I want to sit next to. Freddie? I don't know, he's over there.
I won't bite.
That's okay.
I don't know.
Don't fall, we got no insurance.
There's no fault in the
Yeah, don't fall, we have no insurance.
You can turn
Are you
around,
ready?
Mr. Fago, you can.
We started off in 1964. We got a letter from Mayor Bobby Arch in Wilmington. Said your place gonna be condemned and razed. That was the first thing. And why I know that, because I was, at that time, I was the secretary of the Delaware Singerbund. And Emil Dankin was the president. Alfred Gilgenast was our treasurer. Between him and Richard Wolf. And Mark Schilling was the recording financial secretary. So we had meetings and with the membership, we went down to about around 150, 180 members. And our meetings, they usually last about around anywhere from 7 minutes to about around 15 minutes. This is the monthly meetings. Just 2 years prior to that of '64, I want to tell the folks, because the ladies had no say in the Delaware Singerbund. They were members of the auxiliary, but they were not members of the Delaware Singerbund. I introduced a motion on the floor to have the ladies made full-fledged members of the Delaware Singerbund, which was passed in 2 meetings, and then increased our membership and also the attendance in the meetings. Anyhow, we come down to '64, we've been told we have to move. We had an attorney, he was Bernard Hessler, if you remember him. His father was also an ex-officer of the Delaware Singerbund in the 30s and 40s. That was before my time, naturally. And he was the attorney for us, and he put some feelers out what actually happens and what's going to happen to the area down there.
Freddie, when did the club organization start and why? What year was it founded?
But it was founded January 17th, 1853.
1853.
Okay, and we are located in Wilmington in the early 1900s. And that the building we have, our hat at 205 East 6th Street, it used to be a school building. I had a number of, every school building had a number at that time. And the DSB and the Turners, they purchased that, I believe it was 1907, 1904, in the early 1900s. The Turners split from the DSB, so we were by itself the Singerbund, and that's exactly what it was, the Delaware Singerbund.
Excuse me for a minute. It was Delaware Singerbund Library Association.
Association, the name, which is still in existence today.
Yeah, when did that happen? When did they drop the singing association part of it?
We did not, that's
No.
never been dropped.
Never been done.
They just split.
Oh,
Singerbund.
Tell us.
Singerbund is singing association.
I thought it was Sagamunda and the Library Association.
Still is.
That's what it
Still?
was.
It is still the name carried on legally, yes. So anyhow, in '65, early 65 in January, we were told we have to be out, vacate the place mid-July. And the settlement date was made on July the 5th, day after the 4th of July, yes, because I had to fly back from Germany at that time. We had to sign the paper at the government building with the attorney and Mr. Emil Denken, the president. And the price was negotiated by the federal government, and it was somewhere around $28,000. It was not the exact figure, that should be in the minutes, but it was less than $30,000. And we were told we could ask for more, but then it could be said we have to pay lawyer fees and the amount could be reduced. So the membership voted on it, we accept that, and that was with the consent with Bernie Hessler, our attorney.
How much acreage was involved in the
There was
original?
no acreage, we had 205 East 6th Street, it was a 4-story building, maybe it was 4-story. And
Here?
now, in Wilmington, downtown Wilmington,
It's the old club, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He will get to it.
205 East 6th Street. None of those buildings, the whole area was raised in 65 and 66. The only building is still standing in the corner of 6th and King Street. That's the old custom house, which is now part of, it's an old building, a square building, 3 floors, belongs to the University of Wilmington. They still have offices and classrooms in there. And that's the only building between 4th Street and 10th Street of Walnut, King, and French Street. We had longshoremen clubs there, we had a Jewish synagogue there, YMCA was located on the corners, and different longshoremen clubs where we frequent and interacted with those people.
Can I ask one question? So it wasn't I-95 that,
No,
it was urban renewal of the east side.
it was urban renewal, it was I-95 is west
Right.
of Market Street. That's where the Zion Lutheran Church was, where Stokes Brewery was. All those buildings that had to be raised, there are 3 blocks that came down. And that's when the Zion Lutheran Church moved from that area out to Bancroft and Lancaster Avenue. So that's new, and that, I think it was dedicated around 68, 69 or something, that neighborhood. Anyhow, we were without a home, we had to vacate the place. We had a beautiful piano, an upright, and we had, what they call it, like we have
Grand piano?
grand piano,
That was a concert grand.
grand, the black one. And we want to save that, and it cost me $200. I had to get a moving company, and they let it out through a window and lowered it down from the 3rd floor and onto the moving. And it was placed in the Officers Club up in the Newcastle County Airport. That's where we got permission there to hold our meetings and some of our functions. One of our worker here on the right. In fact, he got married there at the Officers Club. And we were there a year, better than a year. And then we've been asked to leave. They were afraid we'd take over, the Germans taking over the Officers Club at the airport, which we didn't. But
We
they
didn't
had
want to do
shuffleboard there, and we always went there, and we had our soccer meeting. In the meantime, we had soccer club, the DSB Kickers, we called them. They're still in existence. And then we looked around, and then we came back to our old patriots, or whatever you want to call it, the Turners. And Mr. Traeger was one of the members at the Turner there. He said, why don't we see if we can meet at the Turners? They're at South Cleveland Avenue, up there where St. Elizabeth is, up in that area, okay, by Canby Park. And yes, we knew the plumber and the roofer, Schumann, on the Raskowitz, which Dick was working for. They were members of the Turner Society. So we got permission to hold our meetings there once a month, and then we also had functions there. But in the meantime, so 2 years, a year and a half slipped by from the time we left Wilmington downtown. We were looking for property. Or what we're gonna do. We had money, but the money was not in Delaware. Emil Dankin, and through his credit union, he was a 2-pounder. He moved the money to California. It was a good move. We at that time, I think we got 7 or 8% interest on it.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it was the highest interest on it, and it was secure, so we had no problem. And then Mr. Paul Heinemann, he was an officer and a singer. Also, he was a member of our soccer team. He didn't play, but he was a supportive member. And then he had a brother. His name is Andrew Heinemann. He was in real estate. And anyhow, between the two, they found this area right here, a farm. And he brought it to our attention, and he said, well, there's a possibility we can have a couple of cows out here, and picnics, and maybe do a little bit of farming, and more picnics, but there is no meeting rooms or anything like that. So everybody got the address, and then everybody came out and looked at it, and what did we see? We saw the house over there. We saw a little old barn here, and there was another big barn, a shed,
Machine shed.
a machine with all crap in there. And who is the owner? Well, the owner lived in the house, Bob Alcorn, and his wife, and I think there were a couple of children. So we met with them, and they actually were not the owner, they were trustee of the property, but they lived in the house. So they got together and they say, okay, we can buy the place. It was 7 point something acres. And there were just weeds and field, no driveway, no exit. We had no water out here, no sewer, no gas. It was just a rural countryside. Anyhow, the membership voted on whatever members we had. I think we dropped down to about around 80 members at that time. And some of our young ones, which I myself was young, and which is exactly 60 years ago when I came here to the country. And that knuckle here, and this one here, that's about it. And then Simon, he's there isn't. There might be a couple more, and Trudy Gilgamesh, but she wasn't a member. She was a singer. She was at school. She was in college. She became a member out here. Her father and Ralph, the brother, they were members. So we bought that place.
What
And
did
we
you pay for this place? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was about 30,
I thought it was 40,000.
39, but for around, around 40,000. We used the money what we had in California. I think we made a down payment of 20,000 or 25,000. We had a couple extra bucks. And the operating our cash spending, we only, maybe it was $2,000, like for taxes coming up. And the rest of them, we got a mortgage on it. I think the mortgage was 4.5%. 4.5%.
That was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, and we, you see the sheet there from the bank, that's how every month you have to pay for it. Now, where should we get the money to pay for the mortgage?
Yeah.
So we just, most of the time we down at the Turners, we were sitting together there and say, what can we do, what can we do? Well, Wilhelm Schultz, everybody knows Brian and Dieter Schultz, that's their grandfather. He was one of the driving force. So we started the bauernstube. He said, you are farmers from now on, and you build a place where we can meet and maybe make a couple of bucks. Okay, we agreed on that. But then we had the house sitting up front. So we decided, well, there's a possibility we can fix that up, rent it out, and pay the mortgage. And that's exactly what we did. And Andy was our main painter at that time. And that we went to work right away and fixed the house up so we could rent it. There wasn't that a restriction like we have today on it with rental authority and all that crap. And we worked there day and night, weekends, on weekends, and weekends. And now, well, we were young, we had our own families, but we made it.
Yeah, that 3 o'clock was kind of late.
I'm sorry?
I said that 3 o'clock in the morning was kind of late.
Yeah, and then we went for coffee. We had down here, we had a Dunkin' Donut, and we had French's here. Dunkin' Donut, they serve coffee 24 hours. French's serve beer till 1 o'clock, no, 12 o'clock. That's all going. And then we had the Ogletown hardware store, which is there now, where the M&A building used to be, or the hardware store. We got good buddies there, because we always needed a nail or something. And our credit naturally was always good, because we never paid. We said we're gonna, next month we have a little bit more money. All the material for the house, what we needed,
So that was later.
Was stolen.
You're going ahead of the story.
we,
Long-term investment.
a long-term investment. We were told by that time, the board of directors, we don't have any money to give you to rehab the house. Try to do the best of it and try to get the material the best you can. And we had some professional plumbers and professional this, and anyhow, everybody came with a piece of equipment, and we made it. Anyhow, came July the 4th, the same year, Pete Schreier, I don't know how he got in the picture, but anyhow, he was the first tenant. Pete and Sandy, and they had 4,
It's,
4, 5, 6
I don't know how many yet, it was around here.
kids. Anyhow, he was our first tenant, and we had a down payment, and we got, every month we got the rent, and we turned that over to the board of directors, said they could pay the mortgage. In the meantime, Mr. Wilhelm Schultz, he got a flock of people around him. He looked at the barn, which was a cow barn, and where the bauernstube, what we call the bauernstube, that was the pigsty. The ceiling there were low, you just walked in, if you were 6 foot, you hit your head on the ceiling. So we had to dig the floor on the bauernstube, 2 steps down, the door was going right through here, from the outside. There was nothing here. But it still wasn't, he wanted a 10 or 12 foot ceiling on it. That's where you see the roof or the ceiling, you see the beams going up there. The material, he was an organizer. He had an old truck of his, he worked for Alton F. Neal. He came there one day, he had them big planks on there. That came from a barn, somebody had to tear a barn down.
Limestone Road,
Limestone up the hill there,
right.
Pike Creek up there. But anyhow, every day when he came, he had something on the truck.
He had my cop on there too.
Every day. And then we got, here again, the board of directors told us, we have no money for you to spend to refurbish or build the bauernstube. So we started our own kitty. Somebody got an old refrigerator, was working, it was nothing fancy. I think I went out the first time, I bought a case of Schaefer and a case of
Peels.
Peels. What was that name? Harry?
Bert and Harry Peel.
Hilton Harry.
Clifton Harry. And a cigar box. Put that in there. If you want a beer, there was honor system.
25 cents.
25 cents you had to put in there.
There were a couple of guys that didn't put it in either.
and they got caught.
But it was an honor system. Some guys would have a beer, didn't have any money, but on payday, they would come and put money in. And I think they always put in more money than the beers they drank.
They
So
bring down, yeah.
Freddie made more money on
Yeah.
the deal.
It was 10 cents a bottle, wasn't it? What was-
Well, I went over here, they had, there's two ladies over there in Ogletown Road, across from the hardware store. She was happy to see me come in there, and I always bought 2 or 3 cases of beer, like $4 a case, whatever we paid there. And all cans, no bottles, aluminum cans. Soda we didn't have.
Nope, got to bring your own.
Mr. Ralph there, he was a youngster, so he got indoctrinated with a beer instead of a soda.
It was my job to go get the beer. You guys were working and you'd give me a quarter. And it was my job to go get the beer, so that you didn't stop working, you kept right on going.
Mr. Gene Cahamus, I don't know if anybody remember that house, delicatessen store in Ellesmere. Richard's father. He said, if you buy something on it, I want to get my name in the black book, and then I want my money back later on whenever you have it. And we had the black book. Simon kept the book. Like he told, we bought it, and he paid for it, a gas heater. You put it in and installed a propane gas heater, it rented out on the bauernstube out this way. And so this kind of stuff. And we got done the Formica, Wernersum, the Tischler, or the cabinet maker. He done a lot of work here. Till 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, many times. We all got home and then worked the next day in our own shop. One time Werner didn't get home, and Edith called, where is Werner? He should be home, and we left the same time. I think it was about 2 or 3 o'clock. And Red Mill Road and Harmony Road, there were no overpasses at that time. We had to cross the railroad track, which was the Pennsylvania Railroad system. Well, he thought he was going to make a shortcut. He went on Harmony, the Red Mill Road up here, and he thought he was going to go over the railroad track, but he took the railroad track and drove on the tracks with his car. And he got stuck. And somebody saw him. It wasn't us. But anyhow, they got him out of the car. They pushed the car off the track and let it sit there. And we still don't know where he spent that night.
He was in bed when the cops came.
Well, Edith was looking for him. So anyhow, it all went well. Nobody got hurt while we were here in the project. Came October, everybody got antsy. We already had a couple of meetings here. The board met in here, whatever kind we had, when we cleaned out the old club, some of the membership, they took some of the stuff, they said, take that and put it in storage, and when we find something, you bring it back. So we had a couple of chairs, we had the schnitzel bunk, I think it's still around here. came November, we said we are ready for operation of the bauernstube. And it was a Saturday, if I believe, November the 9th. Simon's supposed to be here, but his wife was in the hospital. I think one of his boys was born that day. I think it was Rudy. That's correct? I think so.
Speak pregnant.
Yeah, we had a lot of pregnant women around. My wife, his wife. I mean,
So they work them sometimes.
Nowhere had time to do it.
the same out in the soccer field, we were playing soccer too, you know. There was a parade standing there, the women with the coaches, baby coach. Anyhow, we opened up the bauernstube that early November in '67. We didn't have a liquor license. We applied for it, and here Bernie Hester, he got it sometime early in '68. And down from the old club, we had to turn it in because we vacated that. And what we had there was an on and off license. That means you could drink on the premises, and the off license, you could buy the liquor or beer and take it out and take it home with you. So anyhow, we got just an on license, but not an off license, which was fine.
Can I stop here 1 second? The night we were gonna open up the club in the afternoon, the pipe was here. Carl had put a pipeline to have water into the bauernstube, but the line froze up. So he called me and in the middle of the afternoon, we gotta dig up the ditch where the pipe was. He came out, he and I, Simon, had to dig the ditch to find where the frozen part was. And then he thawed it out and put the line back in operation. We had to keep the water running in the ladies' room because otherwise it was frozen up. And that was the opening night, okay? 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we still didn't have water, you know, and everybody's coming in sick. But we got it opened up, thanks to him, and after we put a heat tape on it, we didn't have that problem anymore. That was a scary night. Oh,
Well, the problem was, you know, we put full dirt over the pipe and, you know, the washing got down past the full dirt.
yeah,
It was not enough down there.
yeah, yeah.
I see you got the tank, but when you do that,
One
we
other
didn't
thing,
have time.
Fred, you didn't mention how much time we spent painting the inside of the house. And I remember Bob Alcorn was a retired Air Force guy, and his bedroom was painted Air Force blue, and that means the ceilings and the walls, everything was blue. And they gave me that job. Andy, you painted that room. Well, I painted it.
6
Blue
times.
came through. Painted it, blue came through. I painted four coats of paint on there to get so the blue wouldn't show through. And it came to be a joke. Andy's always, he doesn't do anything, he's still painting that one room. Everybody else was done, but I was still working on that room. And then, so Simon, he was a wise guy. So on the windowsill, he put all the cans of beer, empty cans on the windowsill, okay? And then when my wife came over, your husband's in there, he's been drinking. When she saw all those beer cans, I think until the day she died, she thought I drank all that beer, you know? And these guys are pulling a trick on me. But we had fun.
Yeah, it was a good old time.
So we operated then the bauernstube, we got the liquor license. We started meeting instead of the turners. We started meeting in here. I mean, whatever people we had came to the meetings. And then Mr. Traeger, he took that under his, he said we need a committee, a building committee. And he engaged an architect.
Out of groups.
What a groups.
No, he came in
No.
later.
They came in later.
Lundgren, Ernie Lundgren.
Okay.
Ernie Lundgren, he had an office down at 9th Street. And he gave us some ideas what he wants to do on it, and we weren't happy, and but then he came up with phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 to integrate that. Anyhow, we selected then one, which was phase 1, the Deutsche Halle, which was then the kitchen to be attached to the bauernstube with the boiler room, the bar, the hall, which is 60 by 60 square, and then the children's room and the restrooms with 3 doors exposed on the side, on the east side of the building. And that was our phase 1, where Dick Traeger handled that. And he selected his committee, and we met every Tuesday, faithful, in the evening after whatever kind of work we could do out here.
Are you getting now into the new
You're
building?
getting, I hate to interrupt you or anything like that, you're actually getting into this part over
Yeah.
here.
We're not- we're not down.
What we should mention is, you're talking my name here all the time. Smitty is the one that put in those toilet rooms for the ladies.
Where did you get the toilets?
I forgot.
They were
Where
borrowing
did you get the
someplace.
sinks? Where did you get the toilets?
Well, I give whatever I got, I put in there. I don't know where they came from. Hey,
We had some construction guys that were working on new projects, and anyhow, things appeared here in our club.
Believe me, we dug a septic system out there too.
Yes.
Yes, boy, that was funny.
And Andy, he had to build, what do you call that in French? The pissoir. That was for the men's.
There's one thing you forgot to mention, is that before we got the liquor license, you and I would get a day license. We tell the liquor board that we were gonna have a picnic. And if we had a picnic, we could get a day license and we could get the beer wholesale. So Freddie would go down one weekend, get one for the following Saturday. The next weekend, he didn't wanna be going down there every weekend. So the next week, I would go down and say, we're having a picnic, we're trying to raise money for the Bowens to build a club. And we'd get a day license, and that allowed us to get beer for the event. Now, the way the liquor law is that after the event, you're supposed to turn back all the beer that and the
Not consumed.
whiskey that you could buy, which on the day license, you had to turn it in, but we just put it in the tractor shed, remember that, we hid it. So then we had wholesale beer for during the construction project. And then Seabone's company wanted to have a picnic, so we rented the grounds out for the picnic. And of course, they charged the money, but we had to get a liquor license, so we bought the beer and the alcohol, and we kept the remnants for our weekly consumption. And I was working for MBF company in Maryland, and Freddie was downtown, so every once in a while I'd go over to Freddie and see what the hell's happening, and decide what we were gonna do to get liquor. And
Yeah.
we got all the money in, we got the alcohol at you know, wholesale prices.
Okay.
But we didn't get caught.
Yeah, they had a very funny blue law in Delaware at that time. Sunday was completely, no liquor, period. And then we had to build lockers. Where we all put that stuff, I don't know, but we found
It was
behind the bar there.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had the lockers behind the bar.
You had to buy the liquor during the week in order to drink, and then you could exchange your warm beer for cold beer
yeah, on
It's
Sunday.
on Sunday.
on Sunday.
What,
But-
what constituted the bauernstube when you first opened it?
I'm sorry,
What
What
constituted
Yeah, what was the room like, or what was the building like?
what you saw three years ago before we renovated it?
Okay,
That's the bar that, Werner Soap built.
okay.
That's the original.
The bar and the
And the
bauernstube,
wine
Wine
stube.
stube.
but not the game room?
No,
No,
that was
no,
not-
no.
The
We
booth,
built- Go ahead.
the booth that you see here,
That's original.
the lumber for those booths, one Sunday afternoon, I don't remember who it was, came in and said, "Hey Dick, if you go to the dump, there's somebody throwing a lot of redwoods into the dump. Let's go down there and pick it up, or maybe we can use it." So we went down there, we picked up the redwood, brought it in here. Stumpy and other people
Yeah.
were building that and taking care of it.
Something about the wine store.
That's how the wine store was started.
And the dump was all the way at the end of Salem Church Road. There was that farmer down there, and I forgot now his name. In fact, he took care of our acreage out here. We had that grass grown,
Don't remind me about grass cutting or anything like that. I came out here with it on a Sunday with my lawnmower and I said, "You simple idiot. How the hell you going to go over there, doggone, cut the lawn that way?"
well, anyhow, that farmer down there in the end of, which is now Salemwood Village, in the end of,
Mhm.
right at that end there, I think Sonia lives down there. And he took care of he got the free rein there, he could pick up all the cuttings and so forth. And right on next to it, that's where the dump was, where we picked up, that redwood there.
One thing, remember there was an old ditch behind the property.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a drainage ditch.
Mhm.
We came all the way from the back,
Yeah.
across there, and the ground actually from here was high on the slope down to that ditch there. And we had a nice green Cadillac out there. And
In the ditch.
I know the young folks like Ralph there, they were climbing around and riding the Cadillac. I don't remember that. Anyhow, it got cut up by Fritz Gakel one time. He brought his torch out here, and we buried the Cadillac. It's behind
That's where the Tookmantel building is now.
where the garage is
And that's where all the empty beer cans.
and the empty beer can.
Oh, God.
The landfill.
And
Tell them the landfills here.
and
All them
here,
wooden blocks.
Oh, yeah.
We don't talk about that.
there was an
From Chrysler.
We don't talk about that.
from Chrysler. There was also all that, when we were building all that stuff out here at the bauernstube, Chrysler was building the tanks out there, and they were refurbishing, and they had this creosote, like bricks.
Southern yellow pine wood flooring. Blocks this thick, industrial flooring.
And Mr. Frank Temple, our neighbor, the one house we bought of the property, the 3 acres, he made sure that all the dump trucks, because everything had holes here and trenches and, that they got filled up. Also, Farnhurst was built at that time. Farnhurst
interchange.
interchange, around 13, 40. That's when all the 95 and stuff was
Yeah.
built. And a lot of that dirt and stuff was dumped here in the Delaware Singapore property.
Yeah, but who was that guy put that lit the dump there?
It's,
It was burning.
it's another Karl Heinz that did that.
Out here,
Karl
we
Heinz.
had a fire out there for about around 6 weeks. Christiana Fire Company came, he said, you started the fire again. We had nothing to do with it.
No, we had nothing to do with
We
it.
had nothing to do with
But
it.
I know who did it, because he confessed to me years later when he was in the hospital, before he was dying. You know, he told me he lit it, because his idea was, that's not good fill. It's all this wood is gonna rot. So we said, what he did, he
It's not gonna run.
threw some gasoline on it and get it on fire. Well, it was all filled with creosote, so that fire was a hell of a nice fire. It was hot, burning, and you couldn't put it out. They pumped water on it, and it would light up the next week. Because Carl didn't want any creosote wood in that ditch. It wasn't good fill.
Didn't we also dump that one concrete mixing machine in that?
No doubt,
Well, we dumped everything what came out of the barn we put over there too.
yeah.
Everything that took us about 2 weekends to
Right.
get that stuff out of there.
Yeah, couch, sessles, whatever people left around, laying around here.
My job during this period, since I was 14 and 15 years old, and there was some other kid my age there, I don't remember who that was.
Some sport.
Might have been Alex. My job was to fetch beers. But once we were actually building the bauernstube, for some reason, there'd be these projects that Alton F. Neal was working on, and they'd have leftover block, and I remember one house, the house foundation had collapsed, I guess, because they had backfilled before the floor was on, and so all this block was laying in the basement. He says, well, they can't use that again, not to get new. So somehow it all went on the pickup truck. We were doing this like at 5, 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And it'd go on a pickup truck, and it would come back here to the club. And then my other job was to carry that block and bring it to Willem Schultz to lay, because,
Well, you had to clean them first.
maybe we cleaned them too, I don't remember that part, but, fetching beer was one job, and fetching block was the other one. And I also learned how to mix mortar, because I had to do that too. And so, that's what.
One thing I like, one night when we were building the bauernstube, we had to put mortar on the inside walls, and there's Hans Schwab and Willem we were drinking, they were making a bet that Willem said, I can lay mortar faster than you can, and Hans Schwab says, I can lay it faster than you can, so they made a bet, and we were holding the bet, and the guy who could lay it faster was going to get a free round of beer from us. And these two guys were laying plaster, Ralph and I, and we had to mix the mud because it wouldn't pay for the plaster not to call for mud and not have mud. We had to have the mud ready. So these guys were laying this mortar on the wall. Mud! 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 The two of them, and it ended up like a dead heat. And these guys, they worked like hell. It took about half an hour. It was done. The whole wall was done. Well, we laughed like we had a good laugh. I'll tell you that.
It was stuccoed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you're talking about Hans Schwab, he was also a painter.
Yes.
He, wherever he was working on it, at one time he came with a 5-gallon white paint. What are you gonna do with white paint? Well, the whole bauernstube got painted white. Ceiling, the walls, everything got painted white. It was semi-gloss or something like that. And when he done all the painting, and when he was painting on the ceiling or high up on the ladder, he filled his bucket, wherever he carried the paint and his brush. I don't remember he used a roller or brush. in the six-pack. So whatever got empty first, that's when he came off the ladder. Usually the six-pack got empty first before the paint. Hans Schwab, he was, maybe some of you remember him on it. He just passed away about 3 years ago. He was always sitting on the end of the table out there by the door.
Yeah, we made him an honorary member about 6 or 7 months before he died.
You
Yeah,
remember
me
that,
too,
yeah,
that,
right,
yeah.
Hans Schwab.
Yeah, yeah.
He was,
Was he the one that also did that picture? Where the stump tish was?
No.
On
No, that was-
Tuckman.
that was,
Ed.
that was,
Ed Tuckman.
Ed
Tuck-
Tuckman.
Yeah.
Yeah, the picture from Ryan, I've forgotten what the corner is. That was painted by Ed Tuckman Senior.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
His father wasn't a painter.
He was the Tischler, okay.
Yeah.
Junior, yeah, he painted that, which is now, I think it's
Same thing.
back by the dump.
Yeah.
Yeah, we moved it, we didn't
No,
get rid of it.
no, just, I think he got.
He's still alive.
As far as I know, they moved away down
Downstate.
downstate.
Sure, it's not Bob Guggenheim too, he's down
Yeah.
there. Dick Traeger's down there now too.
Yeah, I tell everybody, my whole club comes down there and wants to go and drink beer with me. I ain't got no beer because I don't drink any.
And I had one thing, you remember when we had Wilhelm made the barbecue pit or
Oh, yeah.
fire pit? We were gonna have a picnic here to announce the beginning of the new club, you know.
First
So,
picnic.
yeah, so we decided to have a picnic, so Wilhelm built the barbecue pit, the fire pit and so on. And we went out, we got beer, and we said, we had a big announcement in the newspaper. And the reason we had that is a friend of mine was a member of the Archaeological Society, Emmy Wilson. He was a newspaper editor. So I went down to the newspaper and talked to Emmy. I said, the Delaware Singleton's wants to build a new building out here, and we want to have a picnic and so on. He said, yes. And so he not only wrote us he took my write-up, and he went through the archives of the journal for all the history of the Delaware Singleton, and they gave us a full-page spread. So we had this picnic announced, you know, the Delaware Singleton's having a picnic out at 49 Single Church Road. So we basically thought we were gonna get like 100 people or so for the picnic. And what happens, every German in Wilmington showed up at the picnic, and we didn't have enough food.
Yeah, but that chicken was low, the ball.
Yeah, we were cooking chicken, but we couldn't cook it fast enough, but the lines were waiting, so we'd give them half-cooked chicken, and they'd come back 10 minutes later, said, my chicken's raw, again, put it on the grill, we'll cook it again.
I had that station wagon, I think I took you along with a
Yeah.
couple of guys.
Wherever we do,
Every egg meal, every shopping center,
A&P was over there.
A&P, wherever we could find chickens, we bought chicken.
The A&P ran out of chicken.
Yeah, everybody ran out of chicken.
The reason some of that chicken was rare, because I was working on the grill, and I'd turn it over, and whoever was with me, she had too much to drink, and she'd get it, and she'd turn it back over again. I never got done on one side, and she had too much to drink, I don't remember who it was, but
That's when we failed.
Yeah.
That was, we had so many Germans. I said, I didn't know there were that many Germans in Wilmington, but they were all at our picnic, you know. So we knew we were going in the right direction. Everybody wanted to become members after that.
We gotta do that today, Andy, so we can get him to come out more.
Yeah.
When we were working out here in the bauernstube, over the property, and Wilhelm was there, he saw somebody just walking up and looking. He said, what are you doing?
Slave driver he was.
He said, What are you doing with your hands in the pocket? Take them out, there's a shovel, go to work. And that's exactly the approach people.
Yeah, but he wasn't diplomatic either.
But that's the way he,
And I remember one time, he got on my case, you know, I got so mad at him, I went home and stayed away for 2 weeks, you know.
So do I. I had what,
well,
80 some hours and we said, you don't spend enough time down there.
Yeah.
Remember that? I was working in that boiler room.
Yeah.
that's,
Oh,
that was when we were, putting the phase one out there. And Wilhelm Schultz was president at that time, after Bill Bennigan. Okay? And he also naturally was responsible for the building committee, where you were in charge of it. And we met every Tuesday evening to discuss what has been done, what should be done, what kind of vendor we need for the coming week. And Mr. Wilhelm Schultz, for some reason now he just got peed off at the committee. He locked us out of the property. He padlocked the bauernstube.
he did. Yeah.
For 2 weeks.
Who's gonna work?
So I said, well, we have to meet, we have to keep on going with our phase one, which was the building here. We met in my place, they drank my beer, but we kept on working.
I didn't drink much.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you can walk home.
Yeah, I can swim.
we are about around a half a dozen, or maybe a dozen people short that have passed. Werner Gecko, Fritz Gecko, Werner Sum, I'm sorry, yeah, his son Alex, Bill Bennigan,
He went back to Germany
yeah,
and he hung himself.
yeah, he committed suicide, yeah.
One thing I want to add, the night of the picnic, it started to rain late in the afternoon, and then we all moved into the tractor shed. Remember? We brought the picnic tables into the tractor shed. And Bill Bennigan played the accordion, and then we sang German songs all night long. We were pretty
Rough.
crocked, and we were pretty good.
Yeah, I got a good story about that. Somebody lost the wallet with all the money in here, whatever we took in. And I found it, stuck it in my pocket and took it home, put it on top of the refrigerator. And I said, I called him up the next morning and I said, Fred, you missing anything? He said, no, my wallet. I picked it up. We were got pretty tuned that night.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that day was a lot of money for us.
Oh, yeah.
You forgot something too, in the beginning of when we had switched from the old club to the new club and we were out, we had a meeting in your house.
Which we had several of, yes.
Yes, and we had a meeting because there was a question came up here. Some of the old timers didn't think we could handle that mortgage. And they made the suggestion to sell the front of the property on the house.
Oh, yeah.
And us young guys, hey, we can handle it. We had a meeting over there and we decided. That was about 5 of us or 6 of us.
Yeah. The driving force behind that, that's correct, was Gene Kahamos.
Yeah.
He heard it in his deli store. Said the Heinemans, they want to buy the house and like an acre
Yeah.
square around there or something like that, and cut, and then we just would sit in the back. And it just didn't sit good enough with us young folks.
Nope.
We used to call ourselves the Young Turks. We didn't agree with the old guys. We knew what we wanted to do.
And we had a vote on it.
Oh, yeah, I came up there, and then they put their tail in between the legs and walked away.
We didn't see him for a while either. And believe me, after we started really getting some action here, that's when they came back.
They came back on it, yeah.
But,
So that was the main point of this whole organization, what was in whether go down to put a, have this club here.
yeah, and you know, Gene Cocklemus would come out sometime we were building on a Sunday and bring us out sandwiches and cold cuts, and Woody used to come out with tomatoes. You remember bringing out tomatoes? You don't remember that? I do.
Andy?
They were damn good.
Well,
No,
the
Andy
one
brings
thing
the
about
bread.
it is,
Andy, I gotta change the battery in this, if you guys
Okay.
will wait, I'm running out.
Yeah, we're not done yet.
Yeah,
Take a
yeah, this is
break.
gonna take several years to,
Several years to change it.
no, several years to edit it.
Anybody wants coffee? Take it back to the bound
Getting a
stool
lot of
there.
enjoyment up here.
Thank you. Those stones you see on the walls, they were actually first put on as a decorative, so it breaks up the white walls, what we painted on it. And then one Saturday, they said on it, oh, why don't we just, everybody can use a stone, put your name down, or their name, and they stayed there forever. And when we renovated the bauernstube 3 years ago, the committee at the time, we decided we leave the stones alone.
Yeah.
Some of them got moved. Some blank ones that got lost, but they couldn't need it because we had to move the walls or open up walls there, the dividing wall between the bauernstube and the weinstube. But all the stones are back in place for all the people working here. And those are the persons that work only on the bauernstube. Had nothing to do with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, that's what we have. And I hope they stay that way forever.
One thing that happened during the picnic, just before the picnic, we were cleaning up everything, getting ready, and there's a skunk comes on the property. Simon Shuck was chasing this skunk around the back lot of his car. And I was pulling my hair out, I said, that skunk sprays, there goes our picnic tomorrow. But luckily the skunk was smart enough to get out of the way. But where you see where the pavilion is now, that was all, it was a jungle, right? And then there's black snakes and everything in there. We had to come in, cut all the briars and everything off and clean this up to make, and Freddie went out and fogged it with the spray to keep the mosquitoes down. That was all done, everything had to be coordinated. We all did these things.
They bought that thing from the swimming pool too.
Yeah.
Who put Wally swimming pool?
The ones we should acknowledge, actually not acknowledge, but anyhow, the suppliers, the ones donated material, we told them they get paid or maybe better off just donate it, which was Angerstein. Most of it because Wilhelm and his company, they always bought at Angerstein. And we even made Albert Angerstein, the one of the founders there, a member here, so he could donate more material.
Well, he was German.
Yeah, that's right. National Lead Company, which Simon worked, he brought a lot of stuff. In F Company, Andy got some insulation and planters or whatever. Gene Carlos, which we know on it, he donated money and gave us money so we can buy some equipment.
Give yourself some money to buy the heater, doesn't it?
The heater, got the propane heater there, and also he donated, brought us food out there for the workers.
One thing that, Fred probably didn't remember this, but when we had the tractor shed, just before the picnic, we wanted to paint the door. It was a barn red door, and Seth Pilsenrod wanted to help paint. And we had looking around for paint. So he took this 5-gallon can of paint and started to paint the door. First Becker came over and he, hey, Floor Stock, that was red lead, He was painting wood with red lead. Seth Pilsenrod, he didn't know. He didn't know. They gave me a can of paint and they gave me a brush and they said, paint the door. That was the most expensive door we had in the property.
I don't know if anybody knows that Hilton, or he was a tremendous guy, he was Jewish, he was in German concentration camp. And he came over to this country and he was a manager of our soccer team. He was, and then later on he was in here and he taught German to the children. He was a tremendous guy.
We have that fund,
Yeah,
scholarship fund.
Right.
that's
Seth
next.
Pilsenrod fund. That's named after him.
How did the design come about with that roof in the old barnstube where they had that roof? How did they select the design for that?
It gave the way it had to work out. The elevation wasn't there. Our roof in the bauernstube is much higher. It's about 10 or 12 feet. And the roof in the weinstube, where it goes back, it's lower. And just the way the elevation went on it, there are 2 or 3 roofs on top of each
No, I meant
other.
the decoration, the decorative
Yeah,
wood
but
there that you had the
it's-
pheasant
yeah.
sitting on it. How did that come about?
Just by,
Another refrigerator
Yeah.
that's been sitting there for 2 years.
Was there any preference for that or how that came about?
no preferences. Most of it was made, or our cabinet maker, Werner Sumpf, he done most of the wood cutting in there. And he was fiddling around for this and measuring this one, and before you know it, he had another board here, but that's the way, yeah.
I had a question, who's Tuckmantel? The garage I see has his name on it.
Tuckmantel?
There's a father and son,
Father and son.
Ed Senior, which is garage named out there.
Right, that's-
And Ed Junior, both of them worked for DuPont. And engineering building, I think, was Richard Laning there.
Okay.
The father he built the, father and son that built the balcony out here in the hall.
Oh, okay.
And Ed done all the, Ed Junior done all the painting, the picture behind the stump is, and also the
On the
the
stage.
mural behind the stage.
Oh, okay.
That he painted that at home on the canvas in his garage. Then as he finished it up, he cut the canvas, whatever sequence we needed there for
Wow,
the space in there, and that's framed in the
I
back.
never knew that, that's nice.
He also did this rendering of what he thought the club was going to look like. Remember the one
Yes.
I brought to the newspaper, so they published it in the newspaper, and that's when all the Germans came out for the picnic.
Oh, you see now a stationery over in the newspaper, the gate entrance,
Yeah.
the main entrance there. That's also done by Ed Tuckman there. He was an artist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
He's no longer with us.
This Junior, yes, he's still living as far as I know. He's downstate.
I thought I heard he passed away.
He did.
I said,
He
I
could-
thought I heard he
Yeah,
passed away.
yeah, for some reason, he would like to stay around here, and he lived there, in Meadowood. that's where I always visit him in the garage there when we done some work there. And, but his wife, she never was happy with the German club. And that's when they're,
His father was, they met him down in the old club.
yeah,
He was a tremendous guy.
He sang tenor
Yeah,
in the choir.
tenor, he sang bass. Please.
Yeah.
I didn't say we drank a lot, but we were going home one night, and my son said to me, "Dad, don't you think you ought to be on the right side of the white line?" Oh, yeah.
Well, my wife all the time was a substitute driver. And then we came in here, you gonna drink? Yeah, okay, then I would. So somebody was sober.
It was like 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Route 4 was a 2-lane road in those days,
Yeah.
and there was nobody on the road in those days.
Fortunately.
Fred and I, we used to get to Dunkin' Donuts all the time.
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Then we also met,
That coffee was good.
and after I-95 was built, that restaurant in the middle of the highways,
Oh,
That was the only
the
thing that
rest,
was open after.
rest up.
we'd go there for ham and eggs, you know,
Yeah.
then go home.
That was
The good thing Richard,
Fred Thompson. Fred Thompson.
and too bad that Richard left, because I remember him taking me home early in the morning, and my wife made bacon and eggs for breakfast. We sort of came home late.
How many members were there in the club when it moved here?
About 80,
80?
I even think it was less, Fred.
Wow.
about 80. We left the club down in Wilmington in 65. I think we had about around 150, 180 members. That's when we start to meet out in the officers club out in Newcastle Airport. And then it dropped down and dropped down and dropped down.
So this was
Then we went to the-
really a dream for you guys to come out here and envision this with 80 members behind you.
My God, we were all full of piss and vinegar. Man, we were ready to tear down walls.
Yeah, Germany had two disagreements with the rest of the world while this place was being built, or being put together, the organization.
We didn't worry about Germany, we worried about the Delaware Singer one.
Yeah, but did you have any harassment going on or any ill
Nah,
feeling in the
No, they
community?
didn't bother us. They
We
got to us, we
comments
got them
on it,
drunk.
I didn't ask if it bothered you, I'm asking
In the
if,
60s, I was.
No.
During the war, you mean?
yeah.
Well, we,
There
Fred, he
was-
he wasn't here, he was on the other side.
Yeah, but there was a club.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was
but
some
you have to
problems.
talk to somebody who's dead.
Well, my father-in-law, he was a German. He was down there. My wife was nearly born down in the German club.
Hilda should know.
And Woody,
You probably read the minutes of the 40s, early 40s. It was very little was written,
Yeah.
politics in the minutes. They had meetings, regular meetings at the Singapore downtown Wilmington at 205 East 6th Street, but very little of politics was written in our minutes.
hey Fred,
They just sat on it all the time. We hope our brothers and fathers return home safely.
That's when the Bund was popular in America too, wasn't it, in the 40s?
I'm sorry?
The Bund,
Late 30s.
all over America?
The Deutsche Bund.
Deutsche,
They tried to come into
But
the club,
that's
but
after,
they were ignored.
that's after the war.
They didn't want them.
it was tough during the war because I talked to my father-in-law there one time when he visited over in Germany, and they didn't mention much from what was going on over there. They just kept quiet.
I'm married to a Berliner, and only about half of my family showed up because their generation was at war. My father's generation was at war with my wife's father's generation. And it didn't go over too well, but
Well, there was a lot of Germans here didn't show up anymore either because they
They
didn't
were afraid, yeah.
bother.
They did get censored to that extent on it, so they kept low key.
will you say it again, Freddie?
I said they did get censored,
Censored, the
Censored.
Germans that were here.
Okay,
but everybody kept low key, and they kept for themselves. And as I said on it, minutes were kept, and the records are still in existence here, but very, very little of those years were written in the books.
okay.
They,
And everything is recorded in German, and that was recorded up to 1961. When I became secretary, I also instituted on it, set the minutes, and the meeting's gonna be held in English.
Was that because you had more American members now or not?
They try to, yes, they try to get in more American, because all the language was still done in, the meetings were still done in German. The writings were in German. And I said there was two major things which I changed in the Delaware Singabon, to have it done in English, written and verbal, and also said the ladies gonna be full members.
To see you ladies, you look, thanks to Freddie.
Freddie,
Thank you.
there was something in the records. The German Delaware Singerbund
Auxiliary.
had a place up in Clayman,
Okay.
by the river.
They had
It was a summer home.
a summer home.
Summer home.
Yeah, yeah. I think your father was involved in that, that's where they went up, and they had that Sunday afternoon
Yeah,
singing.
the
concert.
trolley car went right up
Yes.
up the river.
Yeah,
And all the homes, there wasn't any highway, and all the homes had lawns all the way down to the water. There was nothing there.
Whereabouts was it?
great up,
Claymont,
Claymont.
where it's real high up there, there were, a lot of homes were all summer homes.
Yeah.
Now it's 495 and Fox Point.
Okay, no, I get it.
What about the railroad track?
Well, the railroad, yeah, the
There
railroad.
wasn't any
track
railroad
was
track
built in
then,
Really?
there.
They were there, you said walk over them.
Yeah.
No, I don't, not,
The railroad's been there since
It's a little history of the
Since the
German
19th
Delaware Singerbund.
the 1850s, the railroad has been there.
1860s,
Yeah.
1870s.
Andy, you haven't mentioned anything about the
Not
Wandervogel.
with the homes where.
They
where
came
they
later.
had picnic.
Came later, later,
That's later.
One other thing,
Much.
early 70s.
So, Freddie, how many of you were from the Turners? There were two clubs in Wilmington, right? One is the Turners and one was the German.
Up to about around the 20s, that's when they split.
the Turners was a Turgamine,
Tungemein.
because I was a
Yeah,
member there in the
understand.
thirties, and I used to go over and we did exercises,
Right.
and
Yeah,
and I
love
wore a
good
white
stuff.
tank top and white shorts. And I remember one time I come home and I fell down, I got green stains on my white shorts, and I got that for that.
But did they remain members of the German club still?
I'm sorry?
I just wanna,
They didn't, in the bylaws, they didn't have it so that somebody else could come in and take over. And there was a German group in there, but that was really small, and then the
oh,
Irish
but it
just.
wasn't a German group then?
Well, the Irish
Like in
took
Long Island, for
over.
example, the Turnverein, that was completely
No, they
German.
could not,
Uh-huh.
go into the Singerbund and the Library Association.
Oh, okay.
What about the Idle Hour Club? That was also a German club.
I'm sorry, to which?
The Idle Hour Club?
the Idle Hour.
Idle Hour. It was a German club. My great-grandfather and
Not
Amos
here.
Dines were
Not in
members.
Delaware.
Not here, not to my knowledge.
It was in Wilmington.
Before,
Not part of
before the
thing.
First World War, I heard there were 52 German clubs in Wilmington.
Okay.
And after the First World War, there were 2.
Oh.
Wow. But-
We had one German father
so that's-
by a farmer by the name of Seidler.
Yes.
And the Delaware Sangamon had their picnic out there every year while he was out there. And the Seidler farm today is in Glasgow. It's taken over by, used to be DuPont. They bought that whole farm out there. And they have a lake out there to the same time. And that's, my wife tells me that because she was born and raised over here. And her father was German and her mom was Austrian.
That's the Glasgow State County Park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Seitlers got
That was over
that
there.
farm, because they had,
Yeah, that's,
they had the farm over in Elkton where they built the Triumph Powder Works in World War II. So they wanted to pay him for the land. They said, just give, Mr. Seidler says, just give me land, so many acres that I have in Maryland and Delaware, and that's where he got that land where the park is now.
Well, then DuPont bought his farm out and
Yeah.
he got a farm in Lancaster.
That's right.
In the 80s, I think it was.
Yeah,
We used to go hunting there.
and was it Andy Seidler?
Andy.
Max Seidler was, they were members of the.
Well, they had 7 boys and they had, I
Yeah.
think, 2 girls they had.
And the old man worked it
The
out.
old man worked the hell out of them too. Well, that's how the Germans used to be. My father was a blacksmith over in Germany.
I met your father, I remember your
He had a
father.
couple of hands that looked like shovels.
Yeah. He was also a singer.
Yeah, he was a singer.
He's
You
a
brought him
singer.
over here, I met him.
This guy's a singer. He used to sing in the choir when he was a young boy. And
Yeah,
I heard him sing one time at the, it was at the Turners. We were drinking around the table and
yeah.
they were singing German songs, and this guy he was belting them out. And I said, why don't you belong to the singers? And no, I don't want to be a singer.
I did once.
He's got a good voice, fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's gone now. Sorry.
I think AK's got a map of the property, just before we bought it, right? Do you have that one? Maybe some of the members would like to see what,
This was
The plot plan,
68, 69, so it'd be just after.
I tell you, we were one happy bunch when we bought this property.
I'm glad.
Sounds like it.
Dreamers
we had a lot of
with a
fun.
vision.
We had a lot of fun and we did a lot of hard work.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
I hope so. I hope so.
That's why we have to keep the club going the way it is, right?
Yeah,
Track.
Not let it be
absolutely.
infiltrated by
Exercise track.
Right.
wrong
Come on
parties.
down,
right?
come down to Old Town.
It should be right over there, right as you're going off the tape, right where you left, go, keep moving, Freddie, keep moving to your left, right there.
Right here, second one.
So, were the ladies members when the
I
house
just
was,
know how the area
Barnstable was built, or was that afterwards?
oh, that's a new map.
The ladies,
You can look at all the development here, yeah.
but the ladies members were over
What
here,
time is it?
existed for a while, and had nobody, and then they started up again. But of the ladies, the wives of the singers.
Well, it was when the
But the women as members.
1969.
whatever
That
is
was
on there
after
was
they
on
moved
there.
out here, I think so, that's what you said.
Yeah, well, when he was instrumental in doing it, but he was active downtown, he was active. So he's a little fuzzy out.
Yeah, but this area was done in 1969.
It took a long time
That was
for
after
them to
19, he bought the property.
recognize this auxiliary.
So this was taken in 1969.
Okay, they can cook for us, but
Between 1967 and 1969, you must have put it in.
You don't wanna ruin a good
We came back by the house.
Right.
I know that, I remember that.
yeah, I don't know if
It
we
might have been
don't
just
want
an
it
old
in our meeting.
farmland.
We've got lots of them.
Because I remember that boy, that was over there, that guy over there was still there. There was nothing there.
That's one thing I can appreciate.
Where are we now? We have 1.4 and
Yeah, I have all.
1.1.
Well, that's because
You wanna cover?
Yeah, just knocking them off.
And none of them called us or returned a phone call. Sorry, we're not gonna make it, period, they just ignored us.
They're not that many Germans there now anyway,
I
right?
don't think so.
But still, they would have that in their history, you would think, you know?
I'm sorry?
You would think they would still have that in their history, you know? That they would
I don't even know if they exist anymore.
As far as I know, the tuners are still in existence. The project is still there.
Hey, by the way, we had got, when the Turners asked us to, if we wanted any of their German books that were up in the attic, and we went, some people probably went over there and picked up some of the old German stuff, and I don't know whatever happened to it, but we weren't much interested, just like old newspapers and things like that.
All the books from the Delaware Singer ones were donated to the University of Delaware.
Everything, the whole library, and they had,
Yeah, they took
they took them, but
took the first edition. They took the
somebody, like 10 years later, which is now 20 years or 30 years ago, they said they're still laid in the basement
Sorry.
Okay, good.
All my fault.
at the University of Delaware.
Nice stories about Karl May.
We got that.
At least I haven't seen,
Yeah,
I know
that,
that came down and to the,
no, that's been good work for the library.
Right,
She
my
saw
mother
them
worked, my
coming
mother
in.
worked for the library when those books came in.
Yeah, she showed me
She
where they are.
cataloged them.
No, they're
She
there.
put the catalog.
Yeah, you can read them there. They're in the shelves.
they have to it, yeah.
There were some good old books there. I used to do a lot of reading in there. I was fucking doing that.
Yeah.
Had them all.
What is the significance of books
At the Institute in Philadelphia.
Oh, that was one of those big ones.
Oh, the pole line,
Yeah.
It was a collection.
we had 3 of those, I think there are 2 left.
Right.
That's,
And that's,
they were from the pigsty, where they had the doors attached, the swinging door.
The gates, the pigsty gates were attached to those posts.
That's original postage there, but was,
Now, we put down that, we slipped that open and put the cable inside, and you don't find the cable, and put the light on.
John lived
Then when we did this phase 3 renovation, we moved one post and reinstalled it. So it's not in its original position, it's in a new position, but it's an original post. Now then there's another one in the back.
The outside, if you look at the outside doors, the red doors, that's where they brought the trucks there or the wagons. And there was a big ramp going inside, concrete ramp, where they already fixed up the wagons. So from the slaughterhouse. And those doors are still there outside.
was there? I don't remember. I know.
You know, we had a well, that brought the well to pipe over the and they had to rebuild it. No, that was done 35 days.
Is the round table discussion done?
I'm sorry?
Is the round table discussion done?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, I would like to take a close-up of each one of you guys, if you'll cooperate, so I can include it in the film.
Woody's not gonna cooperate because he's just difficult.
What you have to put up with, Woody.
You could take that off.
Hell no. Listen, there's nothing there anymore.
It gets cold, right?
Yeah.
All right, I got
cold in the winter and hot in the summer.
Now, Andy? Okay,
Okay, got Carl.
the guy
Put name
in,
tags underneath.
the guy in the middle, Carl?
Guy in the middle, Carl. Schmidt.
Okay, and Ralph,
Schmidt the plumber.
And Woody.
and Woody.
So Woody, your parents were members here?
Andre, lady, black lady.
You're a second generation.
Grandparents and my great-grandparents.
And your great-grandparents.
Can we hang on a second?
Wow.
Okay.
I need you to look at me, Woody.